Got that up and going. Hello, happy Monday, everybody. This is Let's Vamonos Live, and I'm your host, Desiree. Did I make it at the 6:30 mark, y'all? 6:32. So I made it just in time. But I'm here to get excited for this season premiere. I'm super excited to share with y'all today. Today is Monday, February 3rd, 2025, and we're going to have a special guest today. Another small business that we'll be sharing with y'all, but we got some community events that we need to run through with y'all just to make sure y'all know what's happening, where we're at. So first and foremost, thank you so much to Sesh Co-Working Space for sponsoring us this location. Every Monday we go live 6:30 from Sesh Co-Working Space, 2808 Carolina Street. I see Kat, my amiga's on. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. And definitely ask some questions or drop some hellos or some holas or bienvenidos or whatever, just so we can know that you're here. We want to hear from y'all as well. But as far as community events are happening, every Wednesday here at Sesh Co-Working Space, they do something which is Women's Work Wednesday, where you can come and collaborate and co-work with other women that are possibly in your field. So entrepreneurs, small business women, women in the arts or artists as well. So come out on Wednesdays. I'm gonna try to make it out hopefully this Wednesday. It is from 8 to 5, so it's a long all day type of event. You can come whenever you want though, but it's an opportunity for you to meet other people, network as well, and we appreciate them doing this for us. Then the other thing that is happening also here, that's starting now this new month in February, is every third Tuesday. Is it Tuesday? I know they have a sign up here somewhere. Maybe you can find the sign for me, Mom, just to make sure. It's either every third Tuesday or third Thursday. We'll get the sign, but I don't want to get it wrong, but it's a networking event that they have once a month here, and it's an opportunity for you to come and connect with those women, to be able to, it's a female founders and friends event. Don't get me wrong here. Mom, I think is there not a sign there on that table? Over there? Mom, that table over there? There's not a sign on that table? She's trying to find it for me. No? Okay, no worries. But anyways, Female Founders and Friends events happening once a month. And yes, there's a sign. See, she found it. Here it goes. Okay, Female Founders and Friends is moving to third Tuesday. So I don't know if they had it in January, but I know in January they're because of the snowstorm. So they are definitely, Kat said, Andalema. So thank you so much. And so anyways, every third Tuesday this is an opportunity for you to come out and network with the female founders and friends. But yes, we are excited about that as well. If you're ever interested in any events, hey Mom, can you get this for me? If you're ever interested in any events that are happening, either with Let's Vamonos or with Sesh Co-Working Space, no worries. Go check them out on their website, seshcoworking.com, or also Let's Vamonos as well. We co-collaborate on calendar, so we share all their events as well. So I think that's it as far as like kind of catching y'all up on events that are happening for Sesh Co, but we will continue to share throughout our stories as well if y'all are needing some help and just trying to find out what's happening. But no further ado, let's go ahead and get talking about, or share about our trending Chisme segment, which we talk about all the things that are trending or the hot topics that are happening. And we're gonna also bring on our wonderful guest, which is Fred. So come on, Fred, come down and sit here with me. We've got a new spot set up here. We got this. We said it was like...
It's like the reverse between two ferns.
Yeah.
Outside of one fern. There you go.
There you go. It's not even a fern, but you know what I mean.
You know
what I mean.
Plants.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But we're so excited to have Fred here today. He is also the owner of Derf Designs.
Yes.
Am I saying it correct?
Yeah, Derf is, there's not any like correct pronunciation. It's literally just Fred backwards.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. Well, we're excited to have you. We're so excited to have you also as our first guest for season 2025.
I feel honored to be the season premiere guest.
Yeah. And the funny thing about this is, so fun fact, I guess you could say, is I've actually had guys as typically my first guest on
Really?
almost every season.
Interesting. Okay.
Which is not on purpose.
Yeah. It just happens.
It's never been on purpose. For those that are interested in becoming a guest as well, you got to, sign up quickly. And Fred, you were
yes, I like to make sure I have everything as far planned out as possible. And I just didn't realize when I signed up that it was going to be like 4 days later, which honestly, it worked out. I had nothing going on tonight. It was perfect.
Yeah, so that's good for you. But I appreciate it. So, but let's talk about the Trending Chisme. Have you heard of the Trending Chisme segment?
I have, yes.
You have? Awesome.
Yeah.
So do you follow hot topics or things that are happening?
I try to stay as informed as humanly possible. Some days, my brain can't take all of the trending topics, especially since January 20th. It's been a very exhausting time to keep up with the news. So I try to keep up as much as possible. But inevitably it's like the older I get, there's always like just little bits and pieces that just start fading away that I stop caring about.
So when I was a kid, I also loved that useless information. So that's kind of how I see it as Trending Chisme, to be like the useless information of, things that like, why do I remember this? But I do. So,
sure.
But let's get to it. So just so y'all know, we typically don't talk about politics or religion, but y'all, it is getting hard in this world, this day and age. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that are happening that are kind of maybe politically driven. So y'all know I'm a wonderful small business fan, a supporter, like hardcore, y'all. I am a hardcore business supporter.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, and so if you did not know, or had you heard about the boycott of Target?
Yes, and honestly, boycotts are interesting because I, like you said, a lot of people don't really feel like they're political, but everything you do is political, right? It's whether you like it or not.
Whether you're trying to be or not.
Yes, the roads you drive on are political. The places you shop at are political. And in a time where people don't really feel like they have a lot of say in what's going on, current times is a perfect example of that. Voting with your dollar is the most important way that you can vote and build community. So I'm a big supporter of boycotting businesses that are not listening to their customers.
Oh, I love that. I love that you said that, because I think that's something that has been really enlightened and heightened since the election, is listening. Listening to your constituents, both sides. We want to listen to both sides.
Absolutely.
And we both obviously have different goals and want to be heard, but listening to your customer as well, right? You're a small business owner. So if somebody says, hey, why are you keep selling this one particular shirt? I don't like it. And nobody buys it.
Sure,
Are you going to still sell it?
Of course not, right? And I think that goes for a lot of different ways, right? Especially on these like larger levels where these companies are, doing billions in business, the power that a place like Target has over a small business, what they're going to be doing things with their money that you may not agree with. Right. And so the best way to tell them that you want them to stop is to stop giving them the money. That's very true. I appreciate that feedback. And so another thing that is also trending right now, other than the boycotts of Target, which, I never want to tell y'all to do something, right? But I just want to bring awareness. And really the awareness is that small businesses continue to need your support, and that you don't always have to support the small businesses through these bigger chains and these bigger brands. You can always buy from them directly. And absolutely.
That's really the goal. It's like, hey, don't stop supporting small businesses. We need you to support them in all the ways we can, but they're using their leverage for what they want to use it for. We need to use our leverage, which is the purchasing power, to do what we need to do it for. So I never want to tell y'all what to do, but at the same time, like, supporting directly through a small business is probably the best way you can support a small business. Secondly, this is Black History Month. So like we're in a whole we're like in this weird, I always say the upside down.
It's like certainly starting to feel like that.
But we're really also excited to support the Black History Month, and then also to continue to educate our community as well. I think that's a big proponent as well. And so for any Black-owned businesses that are out there that we need to know about, let us know. We want to support as well. This is not just a Latina or Latino a business or a network. This is for everybody. We try to be inclusive here.
Yeah.
So do you have any sales going on though?
No sales.
No sales, okay.
As a small business, it is hard to do sales,
Right.
And especially when it comes to like fashion stuff,
Right.
The markup is so high that it does become increasingly difficult to offer sales.
Yeah.
But I try to, me personally, at least the way, I run my business, I try to keep my prices as accessible as possible. So I try to keep my prices kind of lower than the average higher end, kind of nerdy streetwear stuff, so that I don't need to do sales as often. So I'll do occasional, Black Friday, I'll give in, but
well, we just had somebody said it's frozen for me. Yeah, I see that. So I'm gonna see, maybe we can get back out. Let me see if I can go back in. It's still frozen. Let me see. Let's put a pause really quick, Mom. Don't do anything with that. Let's see. We'll get here. Oh, maybe because it went. Because maybe it went to sleep. Maybe that's why.
Wiggle the mouse.
Yeah. So maybe.
Or turn off the
It went in there.
the sleep setting. That might help too.
Okay, there we go. We're back.
There we go.
Okay.
Now it's just me. It's my show.
Yeah. Okay, sorry guys. We the computer went to sleep, so we'll just make sure that Madre wakes it up every once in a while. The mouse is actually in the bag, so maybe that will help. You don't have to. You don't have to touch anything.
It's like when you're working remote. You gotta wiggle the mouse a little bit. Let them know you're still there.
Yeah. So anyways, but thank you for those that are still joined on with us today. Yeah, you're probably going to turn it on. And we were just talking about the trending Chisme. Sorry about it being frozen. If you are not able to stay with us today and to watch, you can always watch this later after the show is over at your own convenience. But we like to keep it live just so we can get some engagement as well. I'm trying to think of some other things that are happening right now. So are you big into sports?
Never been a sports guy. Okay. I'll watch basketball occasionally. Basketball was my sport when I was younger.
Okay.
But again, as I get older, it's like I just don't know. I don't have 50 games in me every year. What I mean? Yeah. Well, and with like baseball, it's 120, right? It's like
so, did you hear about the new trade, the big trade that just happened?
Yeah. That's one of the few things that I am aware of because I like kind of just like sideline keep information about basketball around because it's one of the few sports that I genuinely enjoy.
Apparently there's not a lot of Dallas Maverick fans that are very happy.
Yeah. Well, apparently nobody seems to be happy about it. I think it was from what it looks like, it was like a real sneaky deal that like the entire league was just utterly shocked by. Which is pretty wild.
And if you can see all those crazy TikToks out there, people like literally
losing their minds.
Losing their minds, So anyways, but we're glad to share some of those trending Chisme with y'all. We do like to share the trending Chisme also in our stories. So if you ever want to chime in on anything that we're doing regarding what's trending, or if there's a trending topic you know about and you want to share with us, make sure to go ahead and share that with us as well. We'd love to hear from y'all. But let's just get into it, right? I want to share a little bit I always like to share with our audience how we met, how we connected. Obviously, if you don't know, this is part of his brand. This is part of the Derf Design brand. If you hadn't seen it, it's like one of my favorite shirts. But
honestly, it's everybody's favorite shirt. Yeah. That's my number one seller all year round.
You didn't have it in the color that I wanted, so I had to settle for this color.
There are more colors coming. Okay. I keep the black around all year round because everybody loves black shirts. It's a staple in everybody's closet. But during the summertime, I like to throw out some like brighter colors. So last year, I think it was was it the yellow or the mint one that you wanted?
I think it was the yellow.
Yeah, the yellow one. The yellow one was super popular. Both of them were. So this year I plan on sprinkling in some more colors during the summertime to kind of switch it up a little bit. So.
Oh, you want to buy one? My mom wants to buy one.
You don't have to buy one. You get the family discount. Mom don't pay for nothing.
Yeah, she is definitely always helping and supporting as well. And I was really happy to finally meet you in person. So we got to meet last year, but before then I was following you on Instagram, connected, saw your stuff, and I was really just like connected with it because I saw some of the stuff that you were doing and the fact that, it's related to my childhood, related to some of the things that I grew up connecting with as well.
Sure.
And I was just like, this is super cool that you're doing this.
Thank you.
So that's
the brand is built off of nostalgia.
Yeah,
I mean, that's ultimately what it is.
So if you need that's some customer marketing
right.
sources right there. That's
for sure.
That's how I felt when I saw your brand and all the things they're doing. Obviously, anything Houston related is super cool too. So I love all that.
I mean, Houston's a city I fell in love with the minute I stepped foot in it, and I have loved it dearly for 15 years. And I tell people all the time, I was not born here, but I will die here.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully not anytime soon.
Right.
But I will die here.
Yeah. So where were you originally from?
I was born in the Bronx in New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I just saw a segment about like if you can make it in the Bronx, you can make it anywhere.
Literally. I have a buddy of mine who's also from Chicago, which is a pretty like kind of similar city. And it's one of those things where it's like when life is so difficult, like the weather is oppressive in the winter time, it's expensive, everyone's crammed in on each other. And it's like, if you can survive living in any of those like really crammed in big cities, you can make it anywhere. That's 100% true.
Yeah. And, I've never been to the Bronx, so I got to go to New York for the first time for me, 2 years ago? It was after the pandemic, so but it was right before everything started getting really expensive again. Yeah, 22, 23.
Yeah.
But it was the first time for me to like, if anybody who knows me, I'm not a very adventurous person.
Okay.
I don't like to travel that much. I'm a very like, not a homebody, but I'm like, let's go to Austin or San Antonio. Like,
I want to sit in the car for 3 hours max. Yeah. I get it.
So when my husband surprised me to go to New York, I was like, okay. And then he was like, I'm making all the reservations. You need to figure out how all the other stuff works out. And I was like, okay. I figured out the train to get for where we needed to drive to get on the train station, to get on the subway, to get to New York, because we were originally actually staying in New Jersey.
Okay.
So we were like, okay, but we wanted to maximize our time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So we went to, we flew, where did we fly? Newark?
Probably Newark if you were staying in Jersey.
Yeah, we flew to Newark. And then we found some parking lot, and I even like was like, is it bad crime? Like, what's going on here? Because I was like, I don't know anything about
New York gets a bad rap with the whole like tri-state area gets a bad rap with crime.
So
it's more just like you just gotta be aware of your surroundings, and you'll be fine.
Yes, and that's pretty much what we did. So we got in, we got on this train, we got on the subway. And then we were like, oh, we could figure this out.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
I tell people all the time, if you get lost in New York, you're not very smart. Like it's a grid system.
Yeah.
The subways are very clear in where they go.
Yes.
Especially nowadays with like a phone, you can literally pull up Google and Google will tell you exactly what stop to get off.
Yep.
There is no excuse to get lost in New York, especially if you're like walking or driving.
And that's what we figured out.
It's a grid system. The avenues go this way, the streets go this way. It's very simple.
Well, I mean,
once you get out of the grid system, that could be a different story. But
and we did have one mishap where we thought we were supposed to go to the next stop, and no, we missed our stop, and we're like, oh, okay, no, we got to go back. We're like,
and the good news is you just go upstairs over that train, back down to the other side.
And so that was really cool. We got to go into it was like that big white building. I don't remember what it was called, but it was over there by the trade centers. So the memorial.
Oh, so that would be what replaced the trade centers by where the footprints are and stuff. Yeah. It's a really humbling experience.
Yeah, we went there first because that was the whole reason why I wanted to go. I wanted to go see the trade centers.
Sure.
And it was really cool because there was like a market happening, and I was like, oh, my vibe. Like,
I
was like so excited.
You showed up at the right time.
Yes. It was perfect weather, but yeah, it was a really great time. So it's cool that you're from the Bronx. We didn't get to go to the Bronx, but I've heard nothing but amazing things about like people just saying like the culture there and the community there.
And honestly, like I always tell people it's a bummer if you experience New York post COVID, you never got to experience New York because New York has been like slowly dying before COVID, and COVID really changed the way the city works. And, unfortunately, with a lot of gentrification in all the really popular areas, the Bronx is kind of like the last holdout, and they are literally fighting with their, like, they're like, they will like push realtors out who try to come in.
Right.
Like the Bronx is like the last true holdout of like, no, y'all are not going to take this from us.
Well, it doesn't.
You made it too expensive everywhere else.
It sounds
that we got nowhere else to go and we ain't leaving. You know what I mean?
Right. But it also sounds like a very similar situation here in Houston as well, right?
Yeah.
Where there's a lot of old neighborhoods here that are getting gentrified.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
They're dealing with that. And I believe the Houston Chronicle just talked about some of these properties too were supposed to be maintained and taken care of, and then they weren't. And it's like, what are we doing here? Like, reverse. It's like the reverse of what you're supposed to be doing.
Seems to be the way of a lot of political moves.
Kat tells me here, but she needs to travel more. Yes, I'm trying to travel more. Thank you, Kat. I appreciate it. Yes, I'm trying to travel more.
It's also, to be fair, it's like, it's kind of hard because Houston is so like diverse and there's so many different cultures and stuff that like, if you're into it, you can find that here in Houston. Like,
right.
If you're into like wild foods, you can find whatever kind of food you're looking for, you can find it. Like, in so many different like diverse little neighborhoods and areas and stuff that like, I get why people don't leave once they get here, because it's like, well, why would I?
There's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Fun fact too, we then stayed in New Jersey, and this might be, I don't know, like a unpopular opinion, but I think I'm more of a Jersey person.
Okay, I will say, I despise New Jersey drivers. They are somehow worse than Houston drivers.
Okay, yes, I would have to
because
agree.
they're not as aggressive and psychotic as Houston drivers, but it's as if everyone on the road just got their license that day. And other than that, though, I will say Jersey catches a lot of crap for no reason. Like Jersey, it's very beautiful, especially like areas like Cherry Hills. Mm-hmm. Cherry Hills is like one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to on like in the tri-state area.
We stayed on. Oh God, my husband's gonna kill me. It was something beach. Was it not Long Beach? It's something with an L. Oh God, it was like literally like this brand new, it seemed like it was a new development area.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because they had a boardwalk and they were having like this this kite festival there on the beach.
No, Jersey gets a bad rep.
Maybe it's Long Point Beach?
Maybe. It sounds familiar, but I'm not like
super
familiar with it.
But it was the reason why I would say it was more my vibe because it was very towny.
Yeah.
Small town.
There's a lot of really great like small little towns, and like it's called the Garden City for a reason. The place is green and beautiful.
Yes,
Jersey gets a bad rep because of like Newark, because Newark is like an utter mess. But literally just leave Newark and Jersey is a gorgeous state.
Yeah.
And I will, in case any of my homies from back home are watching, I do have to clarify, I was born in the Bronx, and then we eventually moved to Yonkers.
Oh, okay.
So I know any of my friends who live there are going to be like, whoa, you didn't shout us out. So that's where I grew up and spent most of my time. But I was born in the Bronx, and my parents lived in the Bronx for most of the time, kind of before I came to fruition.
That's awesome. Well, that's really cool. It's really cool. I guess some fun facts about you as well. But you've lived here now for 15 years.
Yes, actually 15. It's technically 14 and change now. It'll be 15 this coming December.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then your brand, Derf Designs, as far as your business, how long have you been working on that?
It's, I would say it's hard to tell, right? Because there's been like different phases and it was different things at first. I would say probably like technically started in like 2019. But I didn't really figure out what it was until maybe like 21, 22, where I was like, okay, this, now I've figured out what my brand is, because I was just kind of making stuff to make it, and, Are you a graphic designer by trade? Kind of, sort of. So I actually, I just like self-taught graphic design. And actually, I went to a trade school in New York. And it had all kinds of like standard trades, like auto mechanics, fashion, which I wish I would have. Now I wish I would have taken fashion, given the like direction that my what I ended up going into. but had all kinds of really great trades. And one of them was printing and graphic design. But when I had started, it was literally just like old school printing machines. I mean, we're talking where you like move the letters around, like old school, like newspaper press kind of stuff, you know? You're making negatives in the dark room and all that kind of stuff. And
man, you're making me feel old.
I mean, I'm old, so it's okay. Don't worry about it. This would have been 97.
Yeah.
And so like within the first couple of weeks, they got this like delivery of all these like iMacs. Do you remember the clear and different color iMacs? Yeah, kind of the first ones. They got this delivery of all this stuff, and we had like Photoshop keys, and you know, the teacher was like, he's like in his 60s, he's about to retire. And he like asked if anybody knew how to like help, you know, like set everything up. And so he saw that I had a knack for it. And we basically just make a deal where he was like, look, man, I'm not going to learn any of this crap. I'm about to retire. I don't care. Like, and he basically just kind of like let me run things and let me just like do whatever I wanted. And he would just like give out assignments, and then it would be up to me to like help my classmates do stuff, you know? So a lot of it was just like self-taught kind of back in the early days.
That's super cool though.
Yeah, and honestly, I've always like, after that, I didn't really, my parents had a tenant that lives upstairs, because if you live in New York, you can't afford to own your home. You have to rent out a floor. Like it's just too expensive. We had a tenant who was a graphic designer, and he was like, dude, don't go to art school. He's like, it's such a waste of money. He's like, you already know how to do everything you're gonna need to do. He was like, and all these programs, he's like, what it used to take 6 of me to do, one young kid like you can do it by himself on his computer at home, you know? So I'm glad he saved me, you know, like 40 grand going to art school, because I had everything ready to go. I was accepted, and I was like, no, maybe I'm not. Maybe I'll save myself some money. And then like 20 years later, I just started doing art like for fun again. And then just like realized how much I enjoyed being creative outside of just like fun little side projects for myself. So
awesome. Well, you are sounds a little bit like me. You have something in common, because I do everything that I've done has been self-taught as well. I always say I'm not necessarily a graphic designer, but I know how to use Canva.
Okay.
So like, I mean, like
there are a lot of graphic designers who would have a heart attack hearing someone say that.
That's what I'm saying. I don't consider myself
a tool is a tool.
I don't consider myself a graphic designer, but I can use Canva. Right?
No, for sure. Honestly, people always like rag on Canva a little bit, but I have to defend Canva and Canva users a little bit, because you still need the creativity. Like you can hand anyone an open iPhone with Canva installed, and if that person has zero creativity, they're gonna produce a piece of garbage, right? Like, so don't sell yourself short for only knowing Canva. You know what I mean?
It's definitely been a fun tool for me, because and some people will like some of the stuff that I do, and I said, no, I'm not for hire. Like I just do it for me because I like to. Sure. I mean, I'm self-taught, and I think it's one of those things, like if people start hiring you for things that you're, you know, might be a little good at, then you're kind of like, well, it's not as fun. It's not as much fun. Sure.
Yeah, I get that.
But through the process of you kind of getting to where you're at now, did you ever see yourself becoming an entrepreneur or being somebody in that?
Not even remotely, which is weird, because like as we discussed earlier, as a Gemini, I'm very hard-headed and I don't like to listen to other people. So it's shocking that I waited till I was 40 something to really, you know, wanna run a business for myself. So it was definitely nothing that I ever kind of expected to do.
Right.
You know, it really just started off as like a fun little side hustle, making stuff that I liked, and eventually I started to realize, oh well, there's more than just like my, you know, group of 50 friends that like this stuff. And it kind of spiraled in, and I had been in management for like 15 years already, and you know, finally when I realized that I was, you know, kind of on a really good trajectory, life just kind of like threw things in the way and I just decided, like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna do it full time, and if I'm gonna use my management talents for someone, I'd rather use them on myself than some idiot billionaire who's just gonna like buy a yacht with the money I saved him with my good ideas, right? I don't want a yacht, for the record, but you know, it's like if I can get myself a little boat instead, you know, like that's good enough for me. So
Well, that's cool. So you do your Derf Designs is your full time.
yes, yeah, it is now as of May 2024.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Well, if you're interested in checking out his designs, go to derfdesigns.com, right?
Yes, derfdesigns.com.
And you can also check them out at different markets and pop-ups and places. I saw you obviously at the Comic Palooza.
Yes, Comic Palooza is kind of that's my like Super Bowl every year.
Your genre place or niche, right?
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
That was my first time to go last year.
Okay. It's a lot. It's a lot for first timers.
And my husband also got us tickets to take a picture with John Cena.
Okay, nice.
So that's kind of how he sucked me in.
Okay.
I was like, he's like, we're gonna meet John Cena.
You're like, all right, I'll do anything to meet John Cena.
Yeah, it was a really once in a lifetime moment for all of us, the whole family.
For sure.
We got to be a part of.
And honestly, like shout out to Comic Palooza. Everybody was really shocked that they were able to get somebody like John Cena. And it was a huge draw for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
So they've been, the folks who are running it now have really, like the last year or two, have really kind of honed in how to split the difference. And, you know, there's, with comic book conventions and stuff, there's like folks who want it to be like really old school, where it's just like dusty comic books and collectibles. And while I do love that,
right.
you also have to keep it a little bit fresh too. And they've done a really good job of really like bringing in a new audience. For a little while, I won't, knock them too much, but for a little while it got a little too focused on celebrities, and they've since kind of, they were immediately able to like listen to to their customers, like we talked about earlier, and they were like, "Oh, okay, hang on a second. We might have pushed a little bit too hard with the celebrities.
Yeah.
Let's move back to stuff that's more in the niche of what Comic Palooza normally brings." So.
Yeah, and there was like these different types of toys there as well. Obviously, there was some other designs, shirts there as well that I was able to find. Oh, this was my Valentine's Day drop.
Oh, so,
okay.
Yeah.
This year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna have to. It's got. I think
it's Spider-Man and MJ kind of swinging through the city.
Yeah. And we can get that now?
There's only a handful of them left. We have like 5 left, and then they're done.
Okay. And so is that kind of the way your drops work? You have like a limited design?
Honestly, it's one of those things that since doing it full time, I've been kind of pivoting. So, for a while I was really focused on just like Houston stuff. And I didn't want to just be constrained by one specific style of shirt.
Right.
And so what I've been doing to kind of, because I'm a man of many tastes, right? I like a lot of different stuff, and the whole reason why I got into doing this was because I really like streetwear and fashion.
Okay.
And a lot of comic book stuff is really poorly made.
Yeah.
It's either like really terrible prints with an okay shirt.
Why is that? Because I feel like my husband, who loves this type of stuff, would totally...
Money, large corporations.
Is that what
that's ultimately what it comes down to.
It waters down the quality?
Yeah, it's literally just how cheaply can we make this?
Yeah.
And they know that people like me are going to buy it. And so they don't really care about the quality. And especially nowadays where it used to be, like 1 or 2 companies that would make it for these big companies. Right. And now, with like fast fashion being a thing, everything is just outsourced to whatever, the order just goes to whatever random factory is going to do it. And so it's no longer, there's way less quality control. They're using the cheapest garments. And so to kind of bring it back to that, what I've been doing basically is I wanted to have both, right? I wanted to have the really nice high-end, more streetwear stuff that'll be like limited drops, but also keep more accessible stuff, in the like $25 to $30 range. Yeah. Still good quality, much better than what you're gonna get at a store.
Right.
But for the same prices that you're getting in a store, you're gonna get much better quality across the board, right? So the prints are better. They're locally done by nerds that really have honed in their craft and know what they're doing. And the same goes for the other stuff. So it's kind of split. I keep all of my Houston stuff I keep regularly. Every once in a while I introduce either like new colorways to stuff that's really popular, like the HTX shirt.
Yeah.
And then I
love also the Meanwhile Houston bag.
Yeah. The Meanwhile in Houston is that was kind of my first full-blown Houston shirt.
Yeah. And I think actually now I'm like kind of going back to my memory banks here. I think I saw another small business wearing that shirt.
Oh, really?
And I was like,
yeah.
I really like that shirt. And then that's kind of how I found you.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm always like, I have a lot of, and one of the things that I really love about the kind of like Houston hustler community is like, there's so much love and support, and like, if another, for the most part, obviously you're always going to have the outliers who want to be pseudo celebrities, but for the most part, like there's so much love in that community that somebody finds out, oh, you do this? Oh, you got to meet my friend this, or you got to meet my friend who does this, or, oh, well, you should do this market because this is more your style. And I tell people all the time, my business would not exist without other small business owners putting me on and kind of guiding me. I mean, when I first started, I was just making stickers and like prints. Yeah. And then a buddy of mine was like, he's like, why are you wasting your time with stickers and prints? I was like, what do you mean I like stickers and prints? And he's like, but you love streetwear and fashion. He's like, why are you putting this stuff on shirts? And I was like, why aren't I putting this stuff on shirts? And he was like, let me introduce you to this guy and this guy. Here's my printer. And now it's cool because now I'm at kind of a good spot where people are now coming to me and asking me those questions, which feels really strange, right? But again, having been a manager so long, it just comes natural. But it's really cool that like the community is so like loving and supporting.
Here in Houston.
Here in Houston, yeah. Unlike any other, like my friends that live in other places that like have small businesses, they're like, I like, how do you find all these markets? And I'm like, dude, it's actually like, it's to a point where I have to like miss out on markets because there's so many options and there's so much support for local businesses. I was talking to a gentleman at my market on Sunday, and he was saying how he had just moved here from Dallas, and he was like, I've been here for like a year. He's like, and I never once did I ever buy anything that said Dallas on it. He's like, and I have so many Houston shirts now. And I told him, I was like, honestly, man, I was like, nobody loves Houston like Houston.
Yeah.
Like and it's not, it's genuine, like we love the city. We love our community. And it really does help, it really helps other small businesses that are growing to see how much love and support there is. And, I see people all the time, like collaborating with other businesses, and it's beautiful, man. Like the collaboration here is incredible.
I hear that a lot about Houston, and I'm always like, well, what is other places like? Are they just like screw you kind of thing? Like, figure it out.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, that's so strange because, I don't have a product, right? Yeah. My business is media, is the podcast.
Well, you're the product, right?
I am the product, right? Yeah. So, but when I started to kind of connect and collaborate and also network with people, I was like, let me just go out in these streets, right? I just went out where the markets were at, where the businesses were at, and I was the same. I'm also that person that you're talking about as far as like, I would be like, oh, you do this? Oh, you definitely need to go like collaborate with these people. I'm definitely that person as well. I always love sharing resources and information. And maybe that's just a Texan thing too, a little bit. I don't know.
I think it's a Houston thing.
It's a Houston thing for sure.
I have friends like, and obviously I think there's definitely some Texas bit to it, but there's just something like, there's a really, like when you need help in Houston, there's no shortage of Houstonians that are going to come and help you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's really unique to Houston itself. Maybe it's because, we were always the redheaded stepchild. It's like, oh, well, so you always hear people talk about like Dallas and Austin. So maybe it's because we have a chip on our shoulder, but because of that like little brother mentality, it's turned into this really powerful, really tight knit and really open and welcome. No one has ever bothered me about not originally being from Houston or Texas because you talk to me for 5 minutes and you know that I love Houston.
Right.
This is my home. I will live and die here. You know.
Well, I mean, you spent.
And people see that genuineness, and it's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
It's not, you know, it's everybody who loves this city loves this city.
Yes.
And that's one of that's honestly what made me fall in love with Houston so much.
Well, that's so cool. I love that. We were talking about markets earlier. So do you have any markets coming up?
I have got actually a kind of fun market. Speaking of Comic Palooza, they do I think it's like Comic Palooza 365, where basically they're trying to do more events throughout the year.
Okay.
And so it's a really interesting one. I might have the date wrong, so don't. If I get it wrong, I'm sorry.
Give us a month at least.
I'm pretty sure it's this coming Saturday
Okay.
or Sunday, maybe, whichever day the 7th is.
This is the life of an entrepreneur. Right?
Seriously, I'm constantly looking at my calendar, like, what am I doing tomorrow? I'm 90% sure it's the 7th at Off the Record. It's like a nerd speed dating thing, which is cool. So myself, my homies over at White Cup, who kind of do a lot of Houston-based comic book stuff as well, we'll both be popped up vending there. That's my next market, and then I believe the next thing I have after that, somewhere in Pasadena. It's for BYOF, Bring Your Own Fitted.
Okay.
And their market is on the 23rd, I believe.
Okay, cool.
So.
Well, we always love to make sure we share, you know, anybody that we work with or share, we'll make sure to share those markets, the information, flyers, so we'll definitely.
Oh, and I'm always at Hip Hop Vintage Flea Market. That's always the first Sunday of the month.
Yes.
And unless I am out of town or dead, that is where you can catch me. Guaranteed every first Sunday of the month.
Yeah, which
Hip Hop
I think
Vintage
you
Flea
were just
Market.
there, right?
Yeah, I was just there yesterday.
Yeah, you were just there yesterday because it was the first Sunday of the month.
One of the best run markets around. You know, they're really, really great to their people. They're like genuinely there to help and love the community. And it's one of the best. Yeah,
they have some great vendors there as
well.
well.
Lucia and Jesse, really, it's like they work miracles with that market.
Yes, and they'll love to hear that you shouted them out as well. As far as though a couple things I wanted to kind of pick your brain on as being an entrepreneur and a business person. What are some things that you're kind of like, man, I wish I would have known that, but you know it now, that you would love to share with our community out there? Because we do have a big, large, small business community that I know watches this, right? Yeah. And everybody's in a different, part of their journey. And, you know, like I told you earlier, I was like, man, I know all these things now, but man, it would have been helpful.
Yeah. You know, honestly, I would say what really sticks out in my mind the most is learning all the social media tricks, like we were talking about earlier. So like if you're a small business, you know, it's kind of similar to what we were talking about before. It's like, I don't want to be a content creator, but I have no choice, right? But I was talking to another small business owner, and we were both kind of lamenting about, you know, content creation. I'm like, I don't want to be an influencer, but you have to kind of like divorce yourself from that, because we're we're not doing like, hey guys, you know, like that. Which, no shade to the folks who do that, right? But you know, when you're an artist or someone who creates stuff, you're like, I've already created all this stuff. Just look at it, right?
Yeah.
But
just buy it. Please.
Yeah, just buy it. Look at it. But you know, the social media algorithms, they don't play that way, right? Yeah. So you have to kind of play the game. And so she really kind of put me on. She was like, well, think about it this way. She was like, this is like a really interesting time to own a business, because it is the only time so far in history that nobody has to put me on. Right? I don't have to hope that someone who buys for X store might see my small brand, right? I don't have to take ads out in the newspaper or, you know, all these old ways where it was really difficult, you know.
Or just being like a
really
street
difficult
vendor.
and expensive, right? Like, and so it's like, if you don't want to spend the money on ads, which, you know, for small businesses, it can break the bank, right? Yeah. Then you gotta play the game. Yeah. And that's one thing I wish I would have started doing earlier on, playing the game before the game got so damn hard. Because like now it feels like every time you figure out the right strategy for your brand, you know, the algorithm is just like pulling the strings and like, okay, they're starting to figure out this is successful. Never mind. Don't share things. Sharing things is horrible. We want, and it's like, it's always a weird game. So that's one thing I wish I would have learned from the beginning, was to lean into the content creation.
Do you have newsletters?
No, I have a broadcast channel, and that's been really helpful to kind of like keep my core audience.
Okay.
I give them little like sneak peeks at stuff I'm working on. I throw like little deals in there where I'll be like, hey guys, there's, this free shipping code works for the next 5 orders.
Right.
Enjoy, know. And that's been really, really helpful for me. With my type of customer, newsletters don't really work all that well. But one thing I am considering is I want it to be a little bit more community based, and so I'm probably going to be opening up a Discord of some kind, where we can kind of talk about all the nerdy stuff, and I can really like, the algorithm hides you, but the Discord is just, here you go. Right. Here are your messages in order. Yeah. Here are the topics that everybody's discussing. Yeah. And so that's one thing that I want to kind of work on and kind of have it be just like a daily newsletter almost for the folks who care. Because some folks do not care. Right. They will literally, they'll ignore everything I say in post. And then when something's coming out and I tell them, hey, broadcast members get, early access, they join the broadcast channel to get the code. They buy the shirts, and then they leave the broadcast channel, which, hey, that's fine by me. Oh. I would prefer you stick around, but, if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. Right? I understand that some folks, they don't care. They don't want to be bombarded by stuff. They've got a million other things going on. So I want to have more options for folks to communicate who do want to communicate, or folks who are just like, nah, man, I don't care about anything else you're talking about. I just want to buy cool shirts from you. And that's fine too. Yeah. Feel free to buy cool shirts from me. But if you want to talk, I love to talk.
Yeah, well, I think it's just also knowing your audience and kind of knowing your customer and wanting to get to know your customer as well. I get that. There's definitely some fans and supporters that we have here that they're always on, and they shout us out, and we appreciate that. But then there's some people that are kind of just flies on the wall as well.
Yeah.
Just like,
and honestly, even with getting to know your business, right? Like, because of social media, I don't, it's not like the old days. I don't have to like put together a focus group. I can literally just post on my Instagram, hey, actually something I was going to plan on doing to figure out better sizing for my limited drops. Hey, did you miss out on something because I didn't have enough 2X's or 3X's? Right. And I can literally talk directly to my audience. So it's like, you have to get over that like, I don't want to be an influencer, because you're not going to be an influencer. You have to be an active brand, and you have to talk to your customers. You have to figure out what they want. And it's cool because if I'm considering doing something risky where I'm like, this is like a random cartoon from the 80s that had like 12 episodes, me and like 12 other weirdos like it. But those 12 weirdos might be in my Discord or might be in my broadcast channel who are like, nah, Derf, do it, make it, I'll buy it. You know what I mean? So there, it's really just about like, one thing for me for like 2025 is like reframing how I use social media and how I interact with my audience, and like not seeing it as a burden. Yeah. Because I'm again, it's like I'm set in my ways. I'm old, right? So it's like people trying to sell me stuff on Instagram are usually really annoying, but that's not the case, right? Right. It's you can run your entire small business right from Instagram. Right. And it can be authentic and not influencery and not fake, Similar to what you do, right? You have a very specific brand, and you talk to folks in the community, and you discuss local business, and it's not fake and scripted. It's very organic and just like, hey, let's chat with this person, see what they're about. Yeah, and people are looking for that kind of stuff. And
also, as someone who's worked with other small businesses, and especially through social media as well, like I totally get where you're coming from and the struggles of it. But I always tell people it is a marketing tool.
Yeah, it really is.
Social media is a marketing tool that, like you said, we have in our hands, and that you either are going to leverage it or not. Yeah. And at the same time, you also have to understand that, like with anything, things evolve. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Business evolves.
Yeah, it's constantly changing.
Marketing evolves, right? I don't know what it's going to be like in the next 10 years. But some of y'all might even know I'm evolving. So share this with you as well if you hadn't heard. But we're going to be doing live selling actually on Let's Vamonos Network. So
cool.
Starting this month,
awesome.
We are going to be bringing on small business to sell your products,
Okay.
anything that you have. This could be another opportunity for you to come on this year. And we're doing that because we know how important it is to get those small businesses out there that maybe don't feel as comfortable talking about the product, but they're like, hey, if I do it with Desiree, maybe it'll be a little bit easier,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
And so just to kind of let y'all know about that, I listen to the community as well, and I hear their struggles, and there's a lot of people that say a lot of the similar things that you say about, hey, I've been doing social media, but I can't always show up, or it's so hard, and it's like, okay, well, how can I help?
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And so we are going to be doing it for free for small businesses. So you'll get an opportunity to sign. Appointment. Get up your spot saved, and we'll come in and do a whole live selling show. And we appreciate those that have already kind of chimed in and said, hey, I want that spot, because we know it's hard.
Yeah.
And with TikToks, we don't know how long TikToks is going to be.
Who knows how long anything's going to be around anymore?
And we don't know how all these things are gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, we still kind of have to learn and grow and be able to support our small business community, because I know a lot of people what I hear mostly is they need support.
Yes.
And that's really hard at times.
It is. It's extremely hard.
And so, like I said, we're going to give the small business community an opportunity to do that here. And that was something that I was like, this is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I just hadn't done it. And I was like, this is the year for me.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
This is the year for me to do it.
It's a good time to pivot to that. And honestly, it's like, it allows folks who might be following you that may not be aware of that type of business to see that, and that helps grow your audience. And if there's one thing I can kind of tell folks who want to, support small businesses, share it.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of people like, oh, I wish I could buy your shirts.
Just share.
Me too, but share it. Because honestly, please y'all share things.
Yeah.
I get it, right? When you hop on Instagram, usually you're like, it's your 15 minutes of quiet time, right?
Yeah.
Or,
doom scrolling.
You're doom scrolling. And so, people are seeing the content, but they're not interacting with it. And it's not malicious, right?
Yeah.
I have friends all the time who'll be like, oh yeah, I saw this shirt. And I'm like, bro, why don't you don't even like it. And they're like, oh, well, I'm telling you I like it. I'm like, the algorithm doesn't care that you told me.
You're like, I
need to prove to Instagram that I am worthy, right?
It's so true.
And that's one thing I tell people all the time, and again, it's one of those things that's really helpful, being able to directly connect to your audiences. I can tell my audience, hey guys, please share this. This is the only way it breaks through the algorithm, So a lot of us we'll do giveaways, and, and the giveaways involve you commenting and sharing and, forcing folks, not forcing, but encouraging folks to interact with the comments. So,
well, like you said,
interact with people's content, please. Like if you love this show, share the clips, comment on it. When you see her go live, hop in the live, comment. It really, people feel, it's your time is really valuable, and just like voting with your dollars, you can also vote with your time and your eyeballs. So, if you see something where you're like, this is really beautiful, it's from a small business, but you can't afford it, share it.
Yeah.
Send it to a friend who might be able to afford it or might be able to support it. If you really want to go to an event, but you're out of town and you can't go, and you see that this is an event run by small businesses, share the event to your story, because my audience is looking for me, but you may not be a nerd, right? For example, I use my business as an example.
Yeah.
You may not be a nerd, right? But if you're like, oh, hey Fred, this is really cool. If you share it to your audience, you might have 20 nerds who like it, right? And those 5 nerds might share it.
Yeah.
Well, those 5 nerds have 500 followers, 1,000 followers, however many followers, and it literally goes so far to just share and interact with the content. It's so important.
It's just the thank you, Dr. Landrau, for joining us. Yes, I appreciate y'all. Thank you. I'm so glad you said that, because it really is just a matter of support, right? And it's just a matter. I always also tell, because I'm in the business of small business to some extent, right? It was to support y'all. I'm like, y'all tag me.
Yeah.
Tag me and I will share it. I am not the influencer that's gonna say, oh, can you give me $50 to share that?
Sure. Yeah.
Like, you know, because there's people that do that.
100%.
And I said, of course I could do that, but I always tell people and remind them as well, just tag me and I will share whatever you want. And I do have people that will either maybe not tag me, but they'll send me DMs and they say, hey, can you share this? It's like, yes.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
and don't be afraid to ask folks either, right? You know?
And then always tell people if I'm not able to share it right then and there, I say, listen, hey, I'm not able to share right now, but because there are so much things that are happening right now.
Sure.
I'm always like, we gotta be relatable too, because the algorithm's like, listening to that. I said, I might not be able to share right now, but I'll definitely share when I get a chance.
Yes.
And
and there's nothing, I don't think there's anything wrong with that either, right? You know, like especially like you said with the algorithm, you know, one thing I've recently learned is apparently Instagram doesn't like when you share more than one story a day. Which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
And I ran little experiments over the last couple of weeks, and it's 100% true.
Yeah.
If I have multiple stories, Instagram will bury it.
Yep.
And so I'll have friends sometimes be like, oh, hey, they'll send me a post, and I have to wait until enough people have seen my story to take my story down to share it, right?
Yeah, because then you'll get like, I know what you mean.
And that's just for businesses. That's not for regular everyday folks, just for the record. So please share stuff.
It's one of those, it's just one of those things, like you might not share anything for a long time, and then you share something and you get like 100 views on it. And you're like, oh, wow. And then you start going along, and then you're like 5 views. You're
like, wait a minute, I did what you asked me to. Yeah. And that's the real struggle with the algorithm, right? It's like, you're telling me to do something, and then when I do it, you punish me. But then when I kind of do it, you will reward me, and it's I don't know what do you know. It's like what do you want from me? You know.
Yeah, it's definitely a game of just like, I would say maybe a chess game, but even a chess game is maybe a little bit easier.
There's rules to a chess game. There's no rules. It's just chaos all the time. It's exhausting.
Well, we are so glad to have you on here, Fred.
Yeah, it was great. It was wonderful being here.
Yeah, just a chance to learn who you are, who you're about. So when people see you, or they see my shirt, or they see any of the things, I am just, here to support y'all in any way we can. But any last words? We always say, because I'm not bilingual, but I'm like Spanglish, right? I'm more Spanglish. Same. So like, you have any words of wisdom, consejos that you'd like to share with the community?
Honestly, just be genuine to whatever it is that you want to do, and the things that you enjoy, and the things that you love, and that's for business, that's for personal life. Like, life is too damn short, and there's enough exhausting things going on in the world, especially right now. Just be true to what you are, whether that's in your business or your personal life, or your relationships, your friendships. Give the people what they want, and what they want is just your authentic self. It might not be for everybody, and that goes the same way for your business. Your business might not be for everybody, but I promise you, if you're into it, somebody else is into it, and they will support you. And again, that's good advice, personal or business-wise.
Well, that's some great advice, because I do believe in that as well. Being genuine, authentic is definitely where we need to be. But for those who want to follow you and support you as well, where can they find you?
Instagram's always the best place to find me, at Derf Designs, DERF Designs. It's just Fred backwards.
That's where
it's just Fred backwards. Oh, okay. Yeah. It's a really cheesy 80s movie called Short Circuit 2.
Yeah.
One of the characters is named Fred, and the main character, which is a robot, gets all messed up, and Fred asks him, are you okay? And he's like, perfectly KO, Derf. And he's like, it's Fred. He's like, that's what I said, Derf. When you're 7 years old and your idiot friends hear that, it sticks with you forever.
And you're a Fred.
Yeah. So that was my nickname for so long, that when I was trying to figure out what I was going to name my business, I couldn't think of anything else, and I was like, well, screw it. Let me bring back my old childhood nickname. And it's worked. It's easy to remember.
I love it. So definitely go follow him on Instagram. Are you on Facebook as well?
I'm not active there, but I do have a Facebook page for folks, and I do cross post all my stuff. So cool. If Facebook is more your jam, I'm definitely there. I've also been really active on Threads lately, which I'm really enjoying.
Love Threads.
Threads is super fun. The algorithm hides anything at all I post about the business, but I'm a big old nerd, and I love to kind of talk crap about nerdy stuff and movies and music and stuff. So if you want to hear me just like talk crap about media that I'm enjoying, Threads is a good place to find me. Derf Designs on there as well. So
well, thank you so much for joining us. This is our first episode for the year, so this is a great season premiere for 2025. And just so y'all know, we'll go live every Monday at 6:30 p.m. here at Sesh Co-Working Space. Thank you again to our sponsors for sponsoring the space. It's at 2808 Carolina Street. Not just a space for us to record, but also a space for you to co-work and communicate, collaborate, and also network with some like minds. There's wonderful artists, women. It's not just a space for women; it's also a space for men as well.
Okay.
So it's definitely.
And I have no skin in the game. They don't sponsor me. It's a really cool space. So
yeah,
I got nothing to lose.
It's definitely a place you want to come check out and see for yourself, because it definitely is a space for very and creative people as well. So I love that. Very welcoming. But thank y'all so much for the love and support. But let's vamonos. Bye.
Bye, y'all. Share everything.